Thank you, President Paxson, Chancellor Menkoff, members of the corporation, Board of Fellows, faculty, administration, and staff for this unique opportunity to elevate a narrative that's not often embraced in such places like this. I am ever grateful. And now, to the mighty, mighty Brown University class of 2023. Let's give it up. Congratulations. Come on. This is such a special, special day. The spirit of inspiration and aspiration is in the air. I was talking to Dean Zia as we were walking in. We saw the sea of humanity just up the street on the main green. The sea of humanity with joyful faces from people who came all over the world to see you here. And as we were processing up, feeling the good energy, and it's because you've made it, class of 2023. But I also know it's been a long journey. It's not been easy. Normally it would be, the challenges of navigating school life, which is at its own challenge. But also it's been a most unique and one of the most unique collegiate journeys of all time for you. Just thinking back when you entered in 2019 pre-pandemic, and then enduring the pandemic years with all its shifts and pivots and changes, and now launching into a post-pandemic world. And what does that mean? What does that look like? But you are prepared. But for today, today's a day of celebration. Today is a day doing it in person along fellows, along loved ones, together. And that's a sincere blessing, especially having had it stripped away for so long. I'm reminded about what one of my adopted pastors from Metropolitan Baptist Church in Newark, New Jersey would say at this very moment. God is good. So when President Paxson called me to offer me this opportunity, I was immediately humbled and deeply honored. I told her as a Brown University alum that this would be the highest honor of my Brown life. And that was true then. And then a couple weeks later, I got a message on LinkedIn. I got a message from the one and only Professor Barrett Hazeltine, the legend. That's right, Hazeltine slid into my DMs and he said, can we just talk? He said some really nice things, but he said, I would love to see your face. And so last week we set up a Zoom, and for 45 minutes, we reconnected, we talked about Brown, we talked about where we are in the world, and we talked about the future. I said, offer me some words of encouragement to tell the graduating class, you know me, you know them, you know our culture, our Brown University culture. And he encouraged me to just tell them, it'll be okay. At the end of the day, it'll be okay. I mean, this man has seen so much. Since 1959, he's been on this campus. He's poured into so many of us. And in the middle of that conversation, I will tell you, I will never forget that 45-minute Zoom session with him. And it also triggered the thought that while you are Brown students for 4 years, you are alumni for life. And that's a life sentence worth taking, worth embracing. It's a spirit of abundance, frankly. I know we talk about, life sentences being bad, right? Well, this one's one worth embracing. It's part of a beloved Brown community, a beloved Brown family, one that as you launch into tomorrow, you will continue to embrace that abundance. If you give, it will give back. But today is not just a day of celebration for you, graduates. For today is a culmination of so many great people and so much great energy that has made today possible. It's not lost on me that this day has so many people in the backdrop working hard, laboring over every single detail to make today happen. Every single detail so we can just sit here and enjoy this space, this moment, and be present. So as we're sitting here right now, I know that there are hotel workers cleaning some of the rooms that your parents and family members and friends are staying in. There are kitchen employees cleaning up the tables that we had just lunch in and about to prepare for the next meal. There are plant operations staff members that are breaking down the last event and setting up for the next. Those good people laboring hard over today are part of what we are enjoying today. So graduates, I ask you to give those people who are part of this story a round of applause in honoring their hard work. And today is also a celebration. Those are the people in the background. Now there's a celebration of people in the foreground, people who are in your life, who invested in you, who dreamed of this day. Your parents, your family, your friends, your coaches, your teachers, your mentors. To that parent that's up the hill right now who possibly took out a second loan to help pay for the tuition. For that friend back at home who knew you were hitting a hard time and sent you a care package. To your teacher. I work with a lot of young teachers. They dream of people like you getting this degree. To that teacher in middle school and high school who poured into you. They're probably talking to their current students right now, saying that I have a student right now at Brown University going to get that degree. And to that mentor, that person who was not blood related, who didn't have to treat you like family, but they did. And they saw something in you when you may not have seen it in yourself. Today is a celebration about all those wonderful people who poured into you too. This is what makes today so special. And frankly, the blessing is that so many of them are just up the street on the main green. So if you don't mind, let's give a big round of applause to all those people up there so they can hear you loudly. And a point of privilege, I will say that my mom's joined your families as well. She's up there on the front row. So Mom, I love you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you. So, I know, I had to do that, right? And by the way, my mom is probably live screening this to the entire country of Ecuador, by the way. My abuelito, abuelita, they're all enjoying this moment. I will kid you not, like she did in 2000 when I graduated. But today is part of a bigger context, right? Today is part of a bigger picture of people who are faceless and nameless, people who you will never know, and they will never know you. People who sacrifice for the rights and the justices and the opportunities that we enjoy today. This is one of those moments for those heroes and sheroes who fought for freedoms, who fought for civil rights, social justice, who shed their blood, sweat, and tears to have many of the things that we enjoy today. For today is a culmination of a long history of people who sacrificed and who manifested themselves in you and getting this one piece of paper. So this is why today is such a blessing in that it's so much poured into the singular moment. And to whom much is given, much is required. And you've been blessed. And so as I was preparing today, I thought back to one of the most formative experiences in my life. Again, as I mentioned, this is an unlikely story, one that isn't often embraced in places like this. I do believe that Mark Twain got it right when he talked about the two most important days in a person's life are the day you're born and the day you know why. And for me, my why moment became crystal clear when I started mentoring a child in Newark, a young person in Newark. And that experience, it touched my heart and expanded my sense of possibility. And frankly, it had me reassess my history and the things in my life, things that I didn't quite think were blessings. But upon that singular day, my why moment, my life changed entirely. And it frankly catapulted my future. See, life has, for many of us, is a journey in search of our own very personalized why moment. Why are we here? Why did this happen to me? Why? And I'm going to be honest with you, your why origin story may come from the most unlikely of places. Your why moment may come from a moment of darkness. It may come from a moment of light. It may come from a moment of deep pain. It may also come from a moment of passion. Your why moment may come from a moment of sadness, but it also may come from a smile. So as I was preparing today, I thought back to one of my formative memories, and it came when I was a middle school student. I was 11 years old, and it was at the end of the school year. It was a June day, it was a hot day like this, and my mom woke me up and my brother up, like she normally would have done, but at that point she said, "You're not going to school." So as an 11-year-old kid getting that message, like, I'm not going to school. It's like my birthday. It's like a present, right? It's a free day. And my mom said, no, today is not a day of school lessons, but rather today is a day of life lessons. So my brother and I got our trucks and toys. We didn't have electronic things. We had like G.I. Joes and Tonka trucks, and we gathered those things, and we joined my mom in a governmental building in Newark, New Jersey. And as we entered this room, there was a sea full of people just milling about. There were so many lines going on. So my brother and I sat in the back of the room, and my mom started to file different lines upon lines. After a few hours, my mom came back, didn't say a word, but she had a look on her face that I will never forget, and she held a piece of paper. And she sat alongside us. And then a few moments later, she rose up, and then she struck me and my brother a look like only a Latina mother can do. She struck the fear of God in us. And so we knew we had to rise up alongside my mom. And as my brother and I rose up, so did about 100 people in the room. They all rose up. And in a far-off distance at a platform, at a podium, much like this, a gentleman rose up and he raised his right hand and he crossed his heart and he started to pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You see, that day my mother was taking exams to be a U.S. citizen. And with 100 other people not yet 1 minute into their citizenship, they were pledging for those famous, famous words, justice for all. You see, those words, I'd said those words thousands and thousands of times, just like many of our young people say to start the school day, but it didn't mean as much to me. Those words didn't become real to me until that very moment when I saw the sacrifice evident in the room and the sacrifice that I knew my mom had taken on to be present in that moment. To see people committing to an idea, committing to a concept, committing to an aspiration, committing to a boldness of what this world can do if we align, if we try, and if we take action. See, I fancy myself a social entrepreneur, driven by a social bottom line, driven by the concept of justice for all. And this work is personal for me. You see, it's an unlikely story for me to be here. It wasn't always a given for me growing up. But I am rooted in the belief that to whom much is given, much is required, and I've been blessed. I've been blessed to have been raised by a single-parent mother who was born in a small-room apartment in Ecuador, who cleaned houses to make ends meet, who scrubbed toilets to put food on the table. And in middle school and high school, I cleaned houses alongside my mom, cleaned houses with some of the kids I actually went to school with. And in 10th grade, I thought I had it all figured out. I thought if I had more hours to work, that I'd be able to get more money to ameliorate the situation at home. So mentally, in my head, I wanted to drop out and just have more hours to work. I must have torn my mother up. She didn't come to this country for me to quit. She didn't work multiple jobs, late nights, weekends for me to drop out. But as many of our kids do, I tuned my mother out. She said all the right things, but I tuned her out. But for having non-blood related mentors in my life at that critical moment, I would not be here today. They essentially had an intervention with me, said, Carlos Lejnieks, what are you doing? Carlos, get back to school. You're not going to manifest your full potential if you continue down this path. See, graduates, this country is based on aspirational words, more perfect union, liberty, and justice for all. But we know that there's not justice for all. When we see our incarceration rates, our graduation rates for some of our communities, the legacy of redlining policies, poverty rates, and health inequity around the country. I remember when I was a kid, I used to ask myself, why? Why me? Why? When we were hungry, did we sometimes have to go to a soup kitchen to eat? Why, when we didn't have food on our shelf, do we have to go to Christ Church to the food pantry? Why, when I simply wanted to play baseball with my friends, I had to scrub their toilets? Why? But now I realize that those weren't liabilities at all. In fact, those were the needed blessings in my fuel to the fire to fight for liberty and justice for all. You see, graduates, I believe our future is bright, but it's not bright inevitably. Our future requires a constant fight, a constant struggle, a constant level of investment like my mom invested in me, like your parents invested in you, like you invest in your families. Our future requires people to make real the boldness of our claims, the boldness of our words. Our world needs you, class of 2023. Our world needs you to mentor our children. As was mentioned with President Paxton in the introduction, I have young people in our community that I wish we're here today to bear witness to you as graduates, not just because it's Brown University, but by dint of being graduates and having that piece of paper. You are the dream manifested that's so often deferred for so many in our communities. I tell you, do not take that for granted. I wish our kids would have your mentorship and your light to help guide them. Our world needs you. Our world needs you to rise up when others are seated. Our world needs your unique voice when others are silent. Our world needs your heart when others are cold. I want to congratulate you and honor you and thank you for this wonderful opportunity. Congratulations, class of 2023.